So I've been working on a project lately. Um, People who know me know I've got a lot of stuff going on right now. Figuring some stuff out for myself, going on a personal journey, looking into all kinds of different things. Um, and there's one thing that kind of how my brain works, and I think a lot of people can sympathize with that. Is you fall down a rabbit hole. I don't know whether it's an AU ADHD thing or anything like that, but it is kind of what my brain does. Is I find something I really enjoy and I kind of latch onto it. Um, I have varying interests and whatnot, but a lot of them are interests that I've had for a long time. Gaming, movies, those sorts of things. But I have sort of just gone down a bit of a rabbit hole lately, and I'm looking more into listening to music in some fashion. But I like to have kind of a goal, kind of a thing to do. And I want to tell you guys a story and sort of give you a bit of a background on me, give you the basics of what I'm working on, what I'm going to be doing using the channel. And I'm putting it out here for me and for other people to enjoy if it is something that they want to enjoy. But my name's Ethan. I'm just a guy in Kansas, complete nerd. Obviously, I've got a RoboCop shirt on and Star Wars over it. I have bachelor's degrees in film and journalism. I am currently pre-law, working on taking the LSAT to get into law school. Something I've always wanted to do. What I'm working on here involves a book series called the Dresden Files. The Dresden Files is written by a author named Jim Butcher, and it follows the story of a wizard named Harry Dresden that lives in Chicago and deals with all kind of supernatural things. I'll do a video sort of giving you a rundown of what the Dresden Files is, going into that. But what I am working on right now, having a lot of fun doing and using it as a method to explore music, to explore these music that I never really gave myself a chance to explore when I was a lot younger, when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, any of that stuff. I'm developing and I'm writing, essentially making concept album playlists, I guess is kind of the best way to describe it. I don't know, of rock operas, like theatrical rock operas, for each book of the Dresden Files. This stems from actually something that my sister, kind of something my sister did years ago when she worked for, I can't remember whether it was for Nebraska Wesleyan University or for the school that she worked for out in Massachusetts, whose name escapes me at the moment. But she worked on costuming and theatrical production out there for those universities, and they did a show for Frankenstein. And she told me about how at one point they were, just to, as theater people do, they pass the time, they do fun, interesting things. I was never a theater guy. Never let myself sort of get into that stuff. But they developed a rock opera of Frankenstein just sort of privately among them. Like, they had a playlist, they had songs and all that stuff, and I thought that was cool. So there's a song that she mentioned. If you know the story of Frankenstein, it opens up with an explorer going up into the Arctic, and he meets up with the monster and all that, or he meets up with, I can't remember. I think he might meet up with Frankenstein. I think he meets up with the Dr. Frankenstein, not the actual monster. Anyway, the opening scene she sort of described to me as what they had a vision of is Sail Away by Styx. Of people dancing around, and he's getting the boat together and going out there, and then there's these lulls in the song where he these kind of eerie kind of feeling, and that's when he sees something off in the distance, like one of the monster going through or whatever. and it always so whenever I hear that song, that's what I think about. Well, I got to thinking about the Dresden Files and this because the newest book just came out, 12 Months, which I have not read yet, so no spoilers, please. But I wanted to sort of use this as an opportunity to explore some new music and to put together some fun playlists, and go that route. Now, like I said, I don't have any background in theater, let alone musical theater. So this is very much an uneducated type of thing. I do have a degree in film, so I mean I have sort of a concept of entertainment and that kind of film theory, all that stuff. By no means am I a professional. By no means am I going to say that these playlists I'm going to put forth are definitive and awesome and the best thing ever. They're playlists that speak to me, that I think tell the story really fun in a fun way, and I'm discovering some really cool stuff and discovering new bands and really having a good time with it. And I kind of want to just share it and use this as a kind of a method of helping my mental health, and journaling. It's kind of a form of that, and just doing that sort of thing for me and for just to have a good time doing it. But like I said, Dresden Files, what I'm developing are Dresden Files rock operas for each novel. They're, spoiler alert, going on in. I'm going to have accompanying program guide to help people get through the narrative of the story, kind of explain the song choices, who in the story would perform them, what characters, sort of my vision. Sometimes I'll talk about like what I kind of see the scene happening in my head. My history as far as seeing musical theater, that sort of thing, is I've seen like Les Mis, I've seen Spamalot, I've seen a couple different shows, Phantom of the Opera in New York years upon years ago, Sunshine Boys. I don't have any background in musical theater, and musicals weren't a big thing in my household growing up. The closest we kind of got watching musicals was watching the Blues Brothers. Nothing wrong with that. I have since discovered, there's some fun musicals and I enjoy them. I personally like Rock of Ages, but I'm a rock and roll guy, so I've seen various things. One of the influences of this project is Epic the Musical, which is a concept album that is the story of the Odyssey. It's really cool. I'll provide links to it. It's really neat, really, really awesome. There are a lot of really cool shows out there, like using contemporary music. I learned that there's called jukebox musicals, which is pretty cool. I didn't know that. Now I do. So I'm learning all this stuff. Well, like I said, I'm going to provide kind of a program guide. I intend to, once a week, I'm going to release a track or release the next song of the playlist and explain what scene it is and go for it. So it's not going to be very long videos like this one is kind of stretching into. But I'm going to talk about the narrative of the story, song choices, who's going to perform them, those things. Now, why am I doing this? Talked about the Frankenstein connection and just that jukebox musical thing, but I never really listened much or got much into music growing up. Part of how my brain works, and I've had doctors and therapists sort of say I probably have some level of autism and some level of ADHD with how my brain works, but there is a condition called the auditory processing disorder, or central auditory processing disorder, CAPD. And I'm going to put out a video talking about what that is. But I heard about it within the last year or so, and it just kind of blew my mind because it's how it like explains how I process, especially music and noise and it explained a lot and was very eye-opening. But this is kind of a way for me to discover this music and to manage this CAPD. What happened when I was a kid is I didn't really get much into music. I found one band that really spoke to me when I was young. I was about 12 or 13. I discovered the band Queen. Anyone who knows me knows I'm a huge fan. I love Queen. Freddie Mercury is amazing. I can listen to any Queen song and be just absolutely enjoy it in some fashion. But Freddie Mercury has a very distinct voice that I can pick out really easily from music. And so the way I kind of grew up, the way I do things is I found that one thing I liked and I just stayed with it. I didn't really diverge from it. I didn't go explore other things. Now I know I discovered I liked other songs and whatnot, but I mean I had to be told that, Enter Sandman was done by Metallica after a while, because I didn't really pay attention to who bands were and that sort of thing. But I found other songs here and there that I like, but I never really did a deep dive and found it's like, oh, this band is really cool. This band sounds really cool. I want to explore some of that stuff. I just stuck with Queen. Now, last year, I know the last couple of years, my partner, she got me onto a band called Blue October, which I think is pretty good. I went and saw it. I went and saw them in concert. One of the few live concerts I've ever been to. I've been to, I think, 5 live concerts in my life, and I'm 46. The first, 5.5, I should say. I went and I tried to go to I have seen Weird Al Yankovic in concert, but that was my second try. I tried to go see Weird Al Yankovic once and got hit by an ambulance, so never made it to the actual show. But I was able to see him when he did his Running with Scissors tour. I saw Metallica in concert at when it was Kemper Arena. This was 25 years ago, 30 years ago almost. And I saw one of the best experiences of my life. I saw Queen with Paul Rodgers in Chicago at the Allstate Arena. I think it was Allstate Arena, State Farm Arena, something like that. Had a blast. Chicago was the closest they came to Kansas City, and it was amazing. So I saw them. I mentioned Blue October last year, and about 2 years ago, I saw a tribute band called Killer Queen here in Kansas City with my partner at that time, and had a great show. They're coming back through this year, and I'm going to try to go see them again. Had a lot of fun. I love Queen's music. But I mean, that's it. Those are the only real concert experiences I've ever had. I don't like being around giant groups of people, and the noise is a problem. When I do my video on auditory processing disorder, you'll kind of understand why. Now, how am I doing this project? How am I going about it? Whether you like it or not, or whether anything, I'm using AI to help me navigate. Specifically, I'm using Google's Gemini because I'm not a big fan of ChatGPT. But I'm using AI to analyze the text of the Dresden Files novels, and break those down into scenes with the kind of idea of a stage musical production, adding connective and transitory scenes to build like a 3-act structure, scene by scene. Then I go and I use AI to give me some suggestions of songs. Sometimes I go through multiple, like give me 5 songs, give me another 5 songs, etc., etc. And I'll do a video on the creative constitution that I'm using to build this show, to build these shows. But AI is helping me find songs that kind of work thematically, sometimes even literally within the confines of the scene to tell the story of the Dresden Files novel. I have some songs that I knew I wanted to use, and all that. So I'm working on this. I'm going to try to put out a video every week here on YouTube, cross-posted on Facebook. I appreciate everybody if you follow it, share it, please comment on it. Let me know your thoughts on the list. What song you have? If you say, hey, this guy likes Queen, you should listen to this other band. You should listen to Muse. You should listen to Dream Theater or anything like that. You should do that. It's all stuff I'm discovering, and I'll get into sort of the song that I chose and kind of why I chose it and what it means to me, what I discovered from it. It's like I discovered I liked this band because of this reason, and I've tracked down their catalog and I'm listening to their music. But it's a lot of fun. That's what I'm doing right now, amidst all the other things. That's it for this video. Thank you for listening to me. I'm going to do a video on the Creative Constitution. And I'm going to do a video on CAPD, sort of giving an idea of what that is and why that matters here. But thanks so much.